Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm joined with Mike Bennett from Altamira Gold. In today's interview, we get into the backstory of Altamira and how Mike found himself with a district scale opportunity in Brazil and what his plan is to prove out what could be a whale of a resource. And I say that because I see Quinton Hennigh has invested with Crescat Capital, and I know that they are usually looking for big opportunities. The stock has recently gone on a run going from the 10-cent range to the 30-cent range in just a few months. The company has cash in the till, and now they're going out trying to find more gold porphyries. In this interview, we get into the strategy and what we can expect out of the company as they roll out their drill program. All right, everybody, enjoy the interview. Mike, it's good to see you again.
Great to see you, Steve. Been a few weeks.
Yeah. So we're chatting pre-interview, but I imagine for you, this is an exciting time because it wasn't that long ago. It was challenging out there. Here you've got a discovery district scale, and it was, I imagine, pretty difficult to get investors to even pick up the phone to say no to you just a year ago. And now there's this investor base that's out there. You're able to go and raise money. Your stock price is rocking. And it must feel like all of the hard work that you put in was worth it.
Well, yeah, Steve, I think, that the key to our continued success is that we continue to prove up what we've said we've got there. The porphyry district in Cajueiro, and Cajueiro, just to remind viewers, is in central western Brazil, right on the border of the states between Mato Grosso and Pará. A very accessible area because of agriculture. And, lo and behold, in 2022, we put our first drill hole into what is the Maria Bonita porphyry deposit. And that has gone from a very early stage in 2022 to a resource, an initial resource in 2025, where we've now published 720,000 ounces to date in Maria Bonita. And lo and behold, we start the third drill campaign about 2 months ago. And we drill our first deep hole, which was hole 32. And we get 395.5 meters of 0.4 grams per ton. And Steve, I try and tell the readers the importance of this sort of intercept. First of all, it's a very long intercept. So it's the longest hole we've ever drilled. It more than almost doubles the vertical depth of mineralization we knew about. And the whole reason that I'm so pumped up about it is that, you just look at it this way. This rock is very, very homogeneously mineralized. It's got gold all the way through it. And so if you took a block of rock, 350 meters across by 350 meters across by 350 meters depth, and you use the density of the rock that we're using, 2.64, the contained gold in that block of rock is almost 1.5 million ounces. And so the whole nature of what we're doing is to prove volume of rock, which is mineralized, and hence we will grow our resource very, very quickly.
So let's back up a step here. Let's go into the early days here. You have this project where it's funny. I have this conversation all the time with people about, are there big deposits out there yet to be found? How big could be out there? And are some of the areas that have been combed over still hiding deposits? You found this project was effectively nobody had ever explored it before, and you decided that, hey, I'm going to attach my life to proving a thesis that there's something here. Maybe walk us through how you originally stumbled across this project.
Okay, yeah. Well, I first saw the project in 2006. It was my first incursion into Brazil. I saw a project or saw an area where over an east-west trend of 15 kilometers, every single stream had been worked for alluvial gold by the local miners, the garimpeiros. Now, that kind of rung a bell in my head. It said, well, either all of the gold, which was originally primary gold, has been eroded away and is in these streams and has been worked by these local miners, or else there is a big primary to be discovered here. I don't know what it is, but, let's start looking for it. And that's exactly what happened. We drilled the first holes in 2007 with a small junior, made a discovery hole on our central area. And the central area, by the way, just to remind people, is 7 kilometers away from Maria Bonita, has a resource of 700,000 ounces. So we've got a combined resource between the two areas, which is in our project package of 1.42 million ounces. And then we carried on looking for new areas post 2021 when we got Crescat in as major shareholders of the company. We decided to focus more on exploration. We discovered Maria Bonita. 2024, we take a very famous geologist called Dr. Richard Silito out to the project. He gives us a seal of approval, said this is a porphyry. It's a very old porphyry. It's 1.7 billion years old. But guys, you found one, you need to find how big that one is, and that's exactly what we're doing right now. But also, you need to think about how many more you've got in your property package, because we've got 28,000 hectares in our property package, and we've got all these streams with no known gold mineralization. So over the last 18 months, what do? We send the geologists out, we do stream sediment sampling, we do soil sampling, we do geophysical surveys, we do rock sampling, and what do we find? We find in total 11 targets, which we believe are similar targets to Maria Bonita. And that's where the project, the Little Cajueiro Gold Project, suddenly becomes a much, much more important game, because it's now a district, it's a porphyry district, and it's 100% owned by Altamira Gold.
So, Mike, a lot of people in the audience, they hear you say, okay, you found 11 targets, and we've all invested in those exploration companies where they say that they have these targets, and then eventually they drill some of them and they all just come up as dusters. What is it that makes you so excited about these targets? You say that they are analogous to what you found before. Why is that? Can you give us a little bit of color on why you are excited about these targets?
Well, Maria Bonita is a very unique piece of rock, right? It's a porphyritic rock. It's an intrusive rock with very dark quartz veins running through it. And so I like to say, if you picked it up in the field, you probably wouldn't pay too much attention to it. But it's all very, very homogeneously mineralized. From 2006 until 2020, we really didn't pay any attention to that type of rock because we were looking for sulfides. We were looking for a different type of mineralization, and we hadn't got our eye in. I'll be the first one to say we hadn't got our eye in to these porphyry deposits. But now we have. We can see these rocks on surface in many of these 11 targets. And we are, as we speak, starting to do what we said we were going to do 3 or 4 months ago, to drill these regional targets. So to date, we've already put several holes into 2 of these targets, into Tavares North and to Morro Verde. And we are waiting for those results right now, Steve.
So when would we start to see some results come in?
Well, you've just seen some results yesterday on our first deep hole, as I say. We are drilling our second deep hole in Maria Bonita. We drilled several holes now in 2 of the regional targets, and we will snag another 3 of those regional targets in the next 2 or 3 months. So you'll see results coming in right the way through the next 6 months. Our next 6 months will be drill, drill, drill. It'll be drill in Maria Bonita to increase the resource, both at depth to the south and to the west. It will be drill on the central area to increase the resource, and it will be drill on at least 5 of those 11 targets that we've identified within the property package.
How deep are these holes going to be?
So hole 32, it's our deepest hole to date, was, if I remember correctly, was about 450 meters deep. Sorry, 550 meters deep. We've gone through a section of mineralization, which is 395.5 meters of continuous gold mineralization. And the most incredible thing about it is there is no high-grade gold in there. So of those 400, almost 400 samples, individual samples we sent into the lab, the highest grade was 5.96 grams per ton. And that was the only high-grade sample in the suite of those 400 samples.
Why is that exciting? Is that because that demonstrates that we have a porphyry?
It demonstrates you've got a rock, which is extremely evenly mineralized, and something that we have known from the very beginning, from the very first drill holes that we put in, is that mineralogically, it's very easy to get the gold out. So using a cyanide leach, using an agitated cyanide leach, we can get plus 90% of our gold out with a very, very low cyanide consumption. So importance of this project are, one, where is it? It's in central western Brazil. It's on a road from the city of Alta Floresta, 100 kilometers away, 1.5 hours from Alta Floresta. It's got a power line running right through it, right through our central area, and right through Maria Bonita. It has fantastic metallurgy. It has a rock which, by drilling relatively small amounts of drilling, so don't forget we've only drilled to date just over maybe a bit less than 6,000 meters into Maria Bonita, and we're growing the resource as we speak. Every day, every hole we put in there, we're growing the resource. And so the goal in this is to turn this into a multi-million ounce project to show the world that we've got many porphyry sources, not just one, and that this will be a very easily accessible mine project in an area which 45 years ago was all jungle. And so we have a window of opportunity here. You asked at the beginning why nobody else had found it or why it was still sitting there. It was still sitting there because very, very few people had been through this area up until 25 years ago.
And they're going back to what you said earlier. There were sort of I forget the word you used, but artisanal miners that were taking the gold out, but there wasn't, say, people who were looking at it from a larger geological standpoint with the ability to go and actually run real drill programs. That had never happened before.
Yeah, so the 80s and 90s, there were probably 4,000 people, local guys on there with pans and dredges taking the alluvial gold out. Bre-X came along in 1997. There was a lull in the exploration business until around about 2005. 2006, I saw the project, and gradually it has gone into what we can now call the Cajueiro Porphyry District.
Is there anybody else exploring in the region right now?
There are other groups looking for similar things. So if we go back to 2017, Anglo American discovered about 300 kilometers away from us the first porphyry copper in the belt. And that probably was what opened our eyes to the fact that maybe primary sources similar to that could exist for gold. And lo and behold, we discover our first primary porphyry source in 2022.
So how much drilling have you done on the project since you originally took it over?
So we've drilled about 15,000 meters into the central area where we've got our resource of 700,000 ounces. We are putting together a drill program on that right now, Steve. So it'll be between 4,000 and 5,000 meters to also grow that central area resource. We've drilled, as I say, probably just under 6,000 meters so far, including the holes we're drilling at the moment in Maria Bonita. And to get a resource of 720,000 ounces with, at the time, we only had around about 4,800 meters is absolutely incredible. And the way you can do that is this very, very consistent block of rock, which is all gold bearing. That's the secret to what we're able to do here.
So, Mike, if you and I sit down this time next year and I said to you, Mike, was it a successful year? And you went through a checklist of things that you accomplished in that year. Obviously, you want to have some big drill holes, but what are those things that really you consider to be a success that's within your control here that shareholders could use as sort of a checklist to judge your performance on?
Well, I want to obviously grow the resources. So both in Maria Bonita, grow it at depth, which we have shown we're doing with the first drill hole. Grow it to the south, where we haven't drilled yet. Grow it to the west. I want to show the world that that is a large porphyry deposit. I want to show the world that the central area can grow to plus 1 million ounces on its own. It's a slightly different geology with pyrite in it, but with very good metallurgy as well. And I want to increase the central area resource. On the central area, we have 2 bulk sampling licenses, and we now recently have published that we have an environmental permit for that. So I would like to take that down the road to a small-scale mining operation in the next 12 to 18 months. And obviously, you know, to be a geological success, and as you've pointed out, to be able to really call it porphyry district, we need to snag several other porphyries. And so I think over the next 12 months, we will snag several of these porphyry centers. We'll start showing the world that they may not all be in the same vertical level, because obviously there's, you know, this is old rock, and so you won't have it all the same level as Maria Bonita. But we're going to show the world that we have a porphyry district. We're the 100% owners of that as Altamira Gold. And we're going to show our shareholders and our new shareholders that this really is a multi-million ounce gold project with a very good metallurgy, with short time scale on taking it into production, and also in an area where infrastructure is second to none.
All right. Well, Mike, I appreciate you hopping on here. I think that this is one of those projects that I know Crescat, they like stories that are out there hunting for whales. And when Quinton's involved with stuff, it's usually a pretty good indication that there's somebody who's done their due diligence that knows a thing or two. And they find the project to certainly be worth merit to go out and drill. So I appreciate you hopping on here. I think that this is one of the more interesting stories out there. I wish we would have bought more stock at 10 cents. I'm sure you hear that all the time. But look, if you go out and find multiple porphyries, even at a $77 million market cap, I think that we're still pretty early. So I appreciate you taking the time to do this. And let's do this again soon once you get some more results.
Thanks very much, Steve. Great to see you again, and always happy to give you an update on the story. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this interview, please do me a favor. Smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Also, if you want more mining content, check out our website over at thedeepdive.ca.